Hello everyone, my name is Braden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video, we are going to talk about the Dryad, that is the tree-bound guardians of nature that inhabit forests. So, guardians of the woodlands, Dryads magically flit from tree to tree and from root to bough, carrying or harrying trespassers with tangling vines and thorns. Most of these elusive beings have a special connection with one plant or a natural sanctuary that they protect. Some also share physical similarities with the plants they're connected to. Dryads might sicken or die if their plant or sanctuary is destroyed, recovering only if it is healed or magically replaced. In the 2024 Monster Manual, we are given a table to roll on called the Dryad Sanctuaries table to help inspire a Dryad's bond. So, Dryad Sanctuaries, the Dryad dwells in and protects an acres large clonal colony, a stand of identical interconnected trees, which is quite interesting. They might dwell in and protect a fortress-like tree like a baobab or a sequoia. Or they might dwell in and protect a living lock, a plant that seals evil below or blocks the path to a dungeon. Or a lonely tree that stands atop a windswept mountain or amid a petrified forest. Or even perhaps a plant with magic fruit or remarkable seeds. Or the Dryad could dwell in and protect a shambling mound or treant that it lives in or around as a Fey symbiote, which is quite an interesting option that I haven't thought of. So nice that that has given us, or the Monster Manual has given us some ideas on how to use Dryads here. You can also see in the new art here that Dryads can now be male or female. Traditionally, all Dryads were female in depictions, especially in Greek and Roman mythology. But with the modernity of society, I have played in games before where the Dungeon Master has introduced male Dryads. So, yeah, this is something that happens occasionally. So, you can have a male or female Dryad now. And I guess it makes sense since nature is a wellspring of life and can birth all different forms, and plants themselves are genderless or androgynous and can reproduce with themselves. So it makes quite a bit of sense, especially in lore. With all that being said, though, let's go ahead and talk about the stat block itself and what changes have been made, because there have been quite a few here. So the Dryad is a medium Fae. They are neutral. They have an armor class of 16, an initiative of +1, 22 hit points, a speed of 30 feet. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 10, dexterity of 12, constitution of 11, intelligence of 14, wisdom of 15, and charisma of 18. So they are quite fickle in their mental skills, or due to their mental skills. For their skills, they have perception at +4 and stealth at +5. Senses, they have dark vision 60 feet and passive perception of 14. Languages, they know Elvish and Sylvan. They are a challenge rating 1 creature, and they have an experience points of 200 and a proficiency bonus of +2. Traits, the Dryads have magical resistance, giving them advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects, which is quite nice there. And then they also have Speak with Beasts and Plants, which lets them communicate with beasts and plants as if they shared a language, which also makes quite a bit of sense and is quite flavorful as well. In the action section, the Dryad has a multi-attack, allowing it to make one Vine Lash or Thorn Burst attack, and it can also use spellcasting and cast Charm Monster. Vine Lash is a melee attack roll with a +6 to hit and a reach of 10 feet. On a hit, it deals 1d8 plus 4 slashing damage. Thorn Burst is a ranged attack roll with a +6 to hit and a range of 60 feet. And on a hit, it deals 1d6 plus 4 piercing damage. Finally, the Dryad has a spell casting action, allowing it to cast one of the following spells, requiring no material components and using Charisma as the spell casting ability. Spell save DC 14. At will, it can cast Animal Friendship, Charm Monster, which lasts for 24 hours instead of 1, and ends early if the Dryad casts a spell again. And they can also cast Druidcraft at will. And then once per day each, the Dryad can also cast Entangle and Pass Without Trace. Finally, as a bonus action, the Dryad has Tree Stride, which says that if within 5 feet of a large or bigger tree, the Dryad teleports to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of a second large or bigger tree that is within 60 feet of the previous tree. So there are quite a few changes to the stat block to mention, so let's go ahead and get to it because there are quite a few to talk about. First off, beforehand in 2014, the Dryad used to have an armor class of 11, but in their spell casting, they had the ability to cast Bark Skin on themselves, which gave them a AC of 16 in 2014. Now, Bark Skin has just been completely removed from the stat block, and the Dryad just has a normal armor class of 16, which honestly makes a whole lot more sense, and it's just a lot easier to deal with as a dungeon master with that change, so quite a fan of that particular change there. The Dryad has also seen significant changes because Tree Stride used to be a trait that could function. It used to just expend 10 feet of its movement to use this feature. Now it is just a bonus action which it can use. And since the Dryad doesn't have any bonus action abilities or spells available in spell block, or its stat block rather, I quite like the change to just being a bonus action because it's a lot easier to deal with and keep track of. No longer do you need to spend extra movement to do so. Now you can just teleport 60 feet as a bonus action, basically, which is quite nice, especially in the midst of battle. Also, the innate spell casting trait has now moved into the spell casting section. This did previously have the spells Goodberry, which could be cast 3 times per day, and then Bark Skin and Shillelagh used to be able to be casted once per day each. So those spells have been removed, but we did get some additional spells to replace those. So Animal Friendship and Charm Monster are now entirely new to the stat block and quite flavorful, because Charm Monster now replaces the old Fey Charm ability, and it is now something that can be used as part of the Dryad's multi-attack as well, which is also new to its stat block, which I'm quite a fan of because that's quite nice. And then other changes here as well are the additions of the Vine Lash and Thorn Burst attack, which has significantly increased the damage potential of the Dryad itself, because beforehand it used to make an attack with a club, which did deal 8 damage on a attack if you had casted Shillelagh beforehand. So that was alright, but now it's just so much easier to use now. And we now have the addition of a ranged option, or a range damage option as well, so quite like the changes there. So not only are you dealing roughly 7 to 8 damage per action, you're also casting Charm Monster to try to charm someone in the battlefield to the Dryad's will so that they can command them to do something potentially harmful to the party, as long as it doesn't go against the direct stipulations of the Charm Monster spell. And yeah, quite happy with the small changes here to the Dryad, just increasing the functionality and design simplicity of the stat block and making it a lot easier to run in combat. We do still have nice options like Entangle and Pass Without a Trace if we do need to use those, Now, Entangle used to be 3 times per day. It has been reduced to once per day, so I feel like that's an okay change because you don't want to be wasting your action using Entangle multiple times because then you're sacrificing damage potential there. But it's nice that they kept the option available here in the stat block just in case you want to do so. I would probably start a combat off with the Dryad casting Entangle on an area of the battlefield. But yeah, just really happy with the changes here because this is a much nicer stat block to run and a lot easier to use because of the changes that have been made to it. But yeah, that's going to be it for the Dryads, so thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please give it a thumbs up if you do. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. We are going through every creature in the 2024 Monster Manual, so keep an eye out for those videos. And this is the last creature in the D section, so we are now moving on to E monsters, which will start off with the Earth Elemental, so keep an eye out for that video next week. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. See ya later.